Hey guys, welcome to the Help People podcast. I'm so glad you decided to click on the video and listen in and watch. Today we're going to be talking about some stuff that we had previously talked about in episode 2, which we're going to continue. But this time it's going to be a little different. We're talking about dealing with anxiety post-pandemic. I know a lot of people will say we're still in the middle of a pandemic. In my opinion, we're post-pandemic. People are starting to, go back to normal life and continue normal things. And in the Sacramento area where I live, there is a lift on the mask mandate, so we no longer have to wear it indoors, which is nice. But I just want to talk about anxiety. A lot of us have it. A lot of us don't know how to manage it. A lot of us don't know what to do with it. And it makes us uncomfortable. It makes it really hard to live life. And it's unfortunate because the way the pandemic kind of happened was so abrupt, and 2 weeks turned into 2 years, right? And so it became, living your life under somebody else's rule and reign, if you will. Our local government, federal government, state government, whatever, just pushing, mandates on us and this and that. And, some of them are good. Some of them are just like, you're crossing the line like too much. It affected us, and specifically if it affected me. And if you're watching this, I'm assuming that you saw the title of the video and you said, I could relate to that a little bit. And I know a lot of my friends have gone through that with the pandemic, unfortunately. It's just been harder to deal with things, harder to process things, because it's almost like you're fearful about everything, and it can make living life really uncomfortable. I want to talk about dealing with anxiety every day. For me, anxiety is a real issue. I deal with it every day from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed. I'm anxious, I'm nervous, I'm, constantly in my head, just thinking of how I can get out of scenarios, how I can get out of situations that I feel uncomfortable in, that I feel fearful of, that I feel just nervous about in general. And I know a lot of people can relate to that. But I wasn't that person up until 2020 when the pandemic hit. I was very outgoing. The way I recharge personally would be classified as an introvert. But introvert and extrovert has nothing really to do with, your outgoingness or your bubbliness or whatever. It has everything to do with how you recharge. Like if you're, energized by a group of people, or you kind of, go into your little shell when there's a big group of people. I can do well in both parties, but the thing is, like, I really recharge well when I'm by myself and have a clear mind. Because of circumstances and things that happened, decisions that I made because of those circumstances and the decisions that I felt forced into, I became like this little hermit crab shell person of myself, and it made things really hard for me to live everyday life. I was scared to go to the grocery store. I was scared to go to work. I was scared to do different things, and not just because I was going to get the COVID, virus, but other things too. Like my mind just went on this constant like cycle of the worst possible case scenario happening, but it was like for everything. And it's something I'm working on, something I'm working through to get better. I started becoming somebody who I wasn't back in 2020. And dealing with this anxiety really made me different than I was. And it made me, like I said, fearful in every way. And I remember the day that it really happened and it really started. And since then, I've been through a lot. I was put on meds by the doctor. The doctor did several tests on me. It was just a very taxing time on my body and on my mind, 2020 and the beginning of 2021. I started getting better and coping better towards about the half mark of 2021. And, since then it's just ups and downs, and I'm learning how to manage those. Sometimes it sucks. Sometimes it's good. Like today, we went out to eat for the first time in a really long time, and for me, that's like a really, really anxiety-full thing to do. It's just scary for me. And if you know me, I deal with stomach issues, and so I'm constantly, using the bathroom, constantly nauseous. I was diagnosed with IBS, so it's like my whole digestive stuff is all out of whack, and anxiety and depression and IBS go hand in hand, according to my doctor and research. And so my situation is kind of crappy because if it's up here, all of a sudden it goes right here or, right down there. And so for me, it can be very challenging to get out of the house and feel comfortable. But today we went to church. went to a restaurant, and honestly, after I ate my initial serving of food at the restaurant, and then I was like, man, that was so good. I want more. I ate more, and then all of a sudden I was like, no, like my stomach's starting to hurt. So I started getting anxious, and I started like sweating, getting those cold sweats, and I'm just like, oh no, like I don't want to have to go to the bathroom and get sick, or go number two. But I pushed through. I was able to overcome that. I just calmed down, used some peppermint oil, and just like tried to chill out and did my thing. And it was good to go out, experience church, experience going out to a restaurant, and work through that. It's very uncomfortable. I'll be honest. It feels like even though I go out and do that, it doesn't get better. But I know that as I begin to do it over and over, I begin to build resilience and begin to build endurance. And so I'm trying to come to that place where, okay, I know I probably will not feel good, but I'm going to push through and I'm going to try this, not just for me, but for my family and friends around me. And so that's what I've been trying to do, every day. And specifically today, that was a situation at hand. And those were the cards I was dealt, and I dealt with it one step at a time. And I think that's really important, is to deal with those things one step at a time. And, because of this pandemic, going back to that, just the things that had happened with, oh no, you don't want to get sick, stay in your home, blah, 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 all this and that. And it felt very controlling. And people might get mad at me for saying this. I know for whatever reason, the pandemic was very a political divide, which is like, I don't know why. The pandemic felt very controlled by the government specifically. It didn't matter what party you were a part of. It just felt very controlling. Like one side was fighting this way, one side was fighting that way. And it's just all these mandates. You have to do this, you have to do that, all this, and the travel bans and all that crap. And it just became overwhelming to hear. And for a while, I didn't turn on the TV. I didn't even click on a stinking COVID news at all. Like, honestly, when I'm on YouTube and I see those little dumb COVID ads, I'm like, dude, I'm so sick of this. I'm sick of seeing this over and over and over and over again. I feel like the government used that to kind of build some type of fear-mongering, or, you have to trust the government, have to trust what they say. And it just became really controlling. And I thought I was never going to be able to go back to normal life. Normal everyday life where I could just do what I wanted to do, be who I wanted to be, hang out where I wanted to hang out, and not have to be, fearful of something happening or whatever. Like, just those things that run in the back of your mind. But I remember just 2020 and even into 2021, I would just get these anxiety, almost attacks, like just heavy anxiety all of a sudden, where I'm just like, oh gosh, when your heart starts racing, you're just like, dum, 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 dum. And you just feel like crazy, and you get all sweaty, and then sometimes you even get nauseated, and you're overstimulated. So like noise and stuff that's moving like freaks you out. You're just like, I just need to calm down. Like, you're trying to grab onto your chair and just trying to relax. And some things I learned were immediate responses that I could take whenever I felt that day-to-day anxiety. And this is where I want to kind of move in this podcast, this video podcast, because we don't have enough resources at hand. And oftentimes when we're full of anxiety, we don't default to those resources. We don't go to our knowledge about it. So I'd encourage you, if you have anxiety or you have depression, read up on it. Go see a doctor, see a professional, get help where you can, start trying new things. But overall, take care of yourself and don't put yourself in an uncomfortable situation that you really just can't cope well with. That would be my advice. But you need to be able to take immediate action when you're going through some type of anxiety attack or some type of depression or something like that. So at the first notice of anxiety, I would recommend the first thing you do is try to control your breathing. Like, bring it down, calm yourself down, bring your heart rate down, and just try to take a break. Like, literally, whatever you're doing, whatever's around you, like if there's people around you, let them know, I need a break. Step away for a second, control your breathing, calm down. For me, what works really well is peppermint oil. I try to control my breathing and calm myself down, and then I'll smell some peppermint oil, or I'll even rub it on the inside of my nostrils. For some people, you might have sensitive skin. That might not be a wise decision, so read up on that. Do a skin test if you need. That's one way that I do it, is I try to control my breathing, get some peppermint oil, and it kind of helps me go, just calm down, really get control of what's going on, trying to take a break in that moment, because if I'm full of anxiety, I'm no help to those around me, and I can't be effective in work or just doing whatever it is that's in front of me. I'm not effective in it because I'm just freaking out inside of my brain, feeling like I'm fighting a war on the inside, and I just can't I can't do it anymore, you know? The second thing that you can do right away is to filter your thoughts. And this kind of roots from scripture. I am a Christian, if you didn't know. I'm always promoting biblical practices for, normal everyday life, because the Bible really does talk about these things, talks about anxiety, it talks about weariness. The thing that I would say is filter your thoughts. If it's not true, don't think about it. If you're just putting scenarios in your head, don't think about it. And I know a lot of you watching this, well, I try not to think about it. It's impossible. Yeah, it is impossible. And there's actually a study on if you try to get your brain to not do something, it will do it. So instead of focusing on, oh my gosh, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, focus on the reality of what's going on. I'm going through this anxiety, through this struggle, but I'm going to get out on top of it. I'm going to overcome this. I'm going to be a better person because of this struggle that I'm going through. And you begin to speak life into your situation, and you begin to walk it out. And it's very empowering. And I know some people call it manifesting. I call it speaking life into your situation, because you need those positive words and positive affirmations over yourself. It's biblical to do those things. And for me, I build myself up spiritually. I don't have to worry. And so when I have that security, when I know that I'm taken care of, then I can focus on, okay, now I can calm down. And then you kind of get that sense of peace. But it takes a minute to get there, to be honest. And it is because our minds race, and because our attention spans are like boom, 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 boom. If you're anything like me, when you're on your phone, super easy. You can, click anything in a second's notice, it is there for you. Like, our attention spans are so small. They're like a goldfish attention span. What is it, like 3 or 7 seconds or something crazy like that? It can become like that as humans, which is crazy. It's because of all the things that come so fast, and we demand things now, we need it now, we need it done. And I'm very much at fault for that as a person in all aspects of life, unfortunately. And I'm working through that. I began to even get rid of certain social medias and certain things out of my life, and just kind of focus on, my professional work, and focus on my family life, and focus on my relationship with God. And some of those things I'm slacking, but overall I'd say that I'm in a better space right now than I was in 2020. And I'm here able to make this podcast because I know I'm in a better space mentally, spiritually, physically than I was in 2020. In 2020, I was distraught. I had no idea what was going on. And it was just really a challenging time for me. And a lot of you that are watching this that know me know that it was really challenging for me. But just know there is hope. I'm super open to communicating with people. Please reach out to me. I want to be able to help people. That's why we call this the Help People Podcast. We're here to be there for one another and to encourage one another, because it is hard to do this alone. It's hard to do this without help. I want to give you guys 7 things that will change your life long term. And these are not things that I've perfected, but they are things that I am currently applying to my own life. It's hard to see a difference right away, but as you begin to build healthy habits around your life, you will begin to see the fruit of your labor. Just like when you want to get something done, in the first 10 minutes, it's not going to get all done. When you have a 10-hour project, you're not going to really see major results until you're in that 5th or 6th hour, of that 10-hour project. And so you have to understand that it's about the longevity. It's not about the instant gratification or the instant change, although sometimes that can happen. But the reality of things is you have to work really hard to get where you want. And that applies in all aspects of life, but specifically for anxiety, it is hard to just flip it like a light switch, like, oh, anxiety off. I mean, it's easy to flip it on. Like, if you're watching this video, that anxiety flips on like a switch, but it is hard to get that thing to flip off. I have 7 tips that I would recommend you do or try to long-term help your anxiety, help you cope with whatever it is that you're dealing with in life. Number 1 is rest. Resting is really, really important for your body. You need it to survive. If you're not on a good sleep cycle, your body is going to be all out of whack. Your brain and your body love a routine specifically for sleeping. If you get up at the same time and go to bed at the same time, your body will love you for it. You'll be able to think more clearly. Your serotonin will be able to communicate, with your brain chemically, and the levels will be more balanced. But the thing about that is it requires discipline. And I know a lot of us younger people like to stay up to 3, 4, 5 a.m. And for me, it's a little bit challenging because I do have certain conditions that require me medical conditions that require me to sleep longer. But I have to work that out where I can. Number 2 would be eat well and drink lots of water. People eat straight up garbage nowadays. Like, it's so convenient to go to McNuggets over there and go buy a fatty, nasty burger that's been greased and frozen for like 3 years. And we're like, oh man, I feel like crap. I'm guilty of it. We eat all this trash, and this is not to shame anyone at all, but we put garbage into our body expecting not to feel like garbage or even look like garbage. So I would recommend doing your research. What foods are good for you? What foods are beneficial to you? Looking for food with good protein, good carbs, and healthy fats is really key, and also looking for food with amino acids. There's an amino acid called tryptophan, which is in eggs, spinach, salmon, and you'll be able to, look up tryptophan. Also, if you're someone like me who struggles with low blood sugar sometimes, making sure that you eat stuff with high protein and good carbs to keep you energized and to keep your belly full so that you're not feeling weak or irritated, because that can also mess with your serotonin levels. Number 3, this is something that I super duper struggle with because I'm lazy as heck, is staying active. If you're not active, you're not doing it right, and I'm talking to myself. I'm not saying to go do a full workout at the gym, although if you want to, go ahead. There's the gym option, there's yoga, there's stretching, there's going on runs, on jogs, on even just walks, like getting your heart rate going a little bit, getting those serotonin levels moving. Number 4 would be meditation and prayer. For me, I pray and meditate. That sounds really funny to people who aren't Christian that are watching this. And what I mean is literally just in a quiet space, try to clear my mind, clear my heart, and I just communicate with God. And that has helped me so much, because at times when there's so much noise going on inside of my head where I can't shut anything off, I need those quiet times where there's no music, nobody in my ear, like, telling me stuff or talking to me. Just a moment where I can sit in a corner and just kind of just be me and chill and relax. And it helps me kind of loosen up and to be less abrupt and less, just kind of snappy. It gets me in a good headspace to be able to take on those challenges as they come and to just do it with ease and do it with peace. Number 5, we talked about this earlier, is filtering your thoughts. If it's not true, don't think about it. Use wisdom in what you're thinking and what you're giving your mind power over, and your words power over, because you need to be speaking those good things into existence and walking those good things out. You have to, use your mind, because your mind is very powerful, but you need to use it for the good of yourself and your well-being. Number 6 is super, super obvious, but do stuff that makes you happy. If you're not happy, don't do it. Do not do it. Don't do stuff that makes you miserable. Get out of it. I recently just put in my notice of resignation at my job. I was coming home just feeling so heavy and so burdened, and I didn't know what was going on, but I knew that it had something to do that stemmed with work, and I had to get out of it. I had to do something that made me feel empowered, that made me feel creative. Now I'm doing contracting work and building my own business, and it's been a privilege and pleasure to be able to do something that I love and with the person that I love. And it's a really powerful thing when you start doing the things that make you happy, things that make you joyful, how much your life can change. And I'm not talking about, throwing away all your responsibilities and saying, screw it, I'm done. I'm talking about things that you can manage to make yourself happy and make a way for you to be happy. Do those things. Please, you owe it to yourself. Be selfish in that way. And I'm not talking about character-wise. I'm talking about understanding that you have needs and you need to meet those needs for yourself, because you can't be effective for others around you if you're not focusing on taking care of yourself first. You have to take care of yourself in order to take care of other people. Number 7 is really therapeutic and it's really beneficial, but it is to write your thoughts down. Write your day down. Express yourself. Have a little journal, a little diary, if you will. I don't do it as much as I should, but I'm getting into jotting down my thoughts and the things that I went through in the day. And I've had some really hard times where I've jotted down and I'm just like, dude, I cannot believe I faced this today. And I'm having other times where I'm like, man, I had a lot of fun today. I did a lot of stuff today. And I could just really have appreciation to go back and read what I went through, what I accomplished, how good I've gotten at certain things, or how I've overcome certain things. And those are the 7 things that I would recommend to you to change your life radically, to live a different life and to live a better life. You will always want to be able to live a better life for yourself and for those around you. And the way to do that is to invest into yourself. And I hope those 7 tips help you invest into yourself and help you to grow as a person and help you to affect others in a really beneficial way. And I want to give you guys a challenge for this week, and this will be my last thing. But this week, check on one person that you know might be struggling. Just check on one person. Send them a text, give them a call if you see them in person, ask them, how are you doing? Because that can go a long way in somebody's life who is currently going through a situation. Stay blessed, stay true to who you are. I hope to see you in the next episode.